You know what I think? I think we're too nice. I think we become so accustomed to being what I call Canadian, which is, no, you go first. No, you go first. I insist you go first. That we've forgotten. And we've lost the art of being direct, being decisive, and getting stuff done. There's an immense hypocrisy when we tell our teams to let go of our need to overplan and overthink and overanalyze things. And then we, as guardians of effectiveness, take 16 months to plan a transformation that fails to transform. One thing that will never change is the need for people who make quick, direct decisions fearlessly and are okay if those decisions result in some kind of failure, require some kind of a redo. We need more people like that. We need to train that skill. But I feel like we're so afraid of offending each other. We're so afraid of having difficult conversations. We're so afraid of conflict that we've lost the practice. We're out of touch. We're out of shape. We're out of tune. When people are struggling to commit, to contribute, we let it pass. When the right mindsets and habits don't take hold, because we get lazy, we get tired of pushing the rock uphill, we feel like a broken record, so we take our foot off the gas. We're being too nice. We don't dare point out that a lack of outcome, a lack of change, a lack of difference, whatever you happen to be looking for, is directly related by a lack of action, an unwillingness to hold ourselves to a higher bar. We're too worried about being nice to ourselves, nice to each other. And while those things are incredibly important, what happens when we're not nice to each other? What happens when we're not nice to ourselves? But it becomes more prevalent, more important, and occupies more of our space, more of our mental space with each passing year. And we start noticing that it's getting more and more difficult to create change in a time when change should be becoming progressively faster. The technology demands it. The pace of business demands it. And yet I feel like folks aren't picking up. They're not looking after their piece, their accountability. And if all of this trying to be nicer created a better society, where people weren't so angry, where people weren't so afraid, where they weren't spitting on each other in the streets and in the hospitals and in the classrooms, I'd say, okay, it was worth it. But the polarization in our society is getting worse and worse and worse. I don't think we should be getting meaner. That's not what I mean by too nice. I mean we need to inspire better levels of performance, not by trying to push people into a process or a framework, but by teaching and preaching accountability, by preaching directness, decisiveness. And how do you start doing that? You have to hold yourself accountable first. You have to demonstrate what certainty and decisiveness looks like so that other people can see it. Then they can see the outcomes of it. They can see the result. Then they'll choose to model that behavior if it suits their goals and it kindles their desires. As I'm thinking about it, too nice doesn't even mean too polite either. It means we spend more time talking about the thing than we do actually doing the thing. Go read a LinkedIn thread somewhere. Somebody talking about some aspect of Agile. And there's always one person who says, well, I have to disagree. My opinion, which is the polar opposite of yours, must be equally respected and included, and you need to reframe your statement to make sure that it accepts and upholds my viewpoint too. Sometimes some people are just wrong. Sometimes we move things forward by being declarative. We need to understand that freedom does not obligate us to create soft, middle-of-the-road, right-down-the-center opinions. Freedom means I'm free to think and do what I think is right for my customers and my people. And you are free to do the same. But it's okay if they differ. The minute we insist on middle-of-the-road thinking, that what we choose to do, what we publish, what we teach, what we practice, must be palatable to everybody. It must be your way and your way and your way. We're going to dilute the power of our intentions. And if your intentions are rooted in service to your clients, service to your people, service to your team, service to your community or your country, it's kind of difficult to go wrong. But the most important thing here is that we teach in Agile that it's okay to be wrong, that we must endeavor, we must experiment, we must try and be prepared to fail. And if we learn through that failure, we accept that our approach didn't work. And now we must explore or accept different points of view. But the idea is that those different points of view only become valid through testing. It's not the speaking of the thing that makes your idea valid. It is the testing of it in your specific condition. What works for me in condition A may completely not work for you in condition B. Over time and experience, hopefully we build up a library of good ideas and good practices and good philosophies that guide us and help save us from making those mistakes. But until we've made them, it's incorrect to say that just because I don't agree with you, A, you're wrong, and B, you're not entitled to state your claim. Here's how this looks in the real world. Go out there on social media somewhere, and I use social media, I post on social media all the time, but what I don't do is engage in polarizing conversations with other people. Because usually by the time I've gotten to the discussion, I've descended the rungs into the heat of the comment thread, all of the opinions, all the different sides have already been represented. We're already at the agree to disagree point. And in the process, we've ruffled some feathers, we've offended some people, but nothing gets better. If these conversations solved anything, if these conversations moved the needle, if it drove Agile into the future, I'd say, okay, let's comment away. But when it always descends into the same religious debate, the dogmatic snowball fight, then it becomes useless and it doesn't advance the cause. I'd rather shut all my devices off, sit down with a pen and paper, and have a good think. What could I create? What could I do boldly? What could I suggest? What could I try that might be for the benefit of my team, my customer? Could I create things today that make a better life balance for the people around me? Could I help people reclaim time by finding ways to do things that get to the wrong way sooner so we can get to the right way even faster? That's my goal. That's part of my purpose. What about you? I'd love to hear from you on this one. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Badass Unscripted. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, stay badass.